You know, there's so many bills going back and forth over the last couple of days. It's like this cat government's in a rush to go on summer vacation. So the idea is let's introduce and pass as many as we can. And by the time people figure out what's going on, we'll be gone, at least for a few weeks till we resume right in the fall. One of those bills, I talked about this one today, introduced by the labor minister, which is going to affect public sector unions in the province. But another one, and this is Bill 89, is going to affect newcomers to Quebec, immigrants who come here in the future. There's a couple of issues, though, with this bill. So we asked Patrice, Brunet, who's an immigration lawyer, to come in, and thank you very much for coming in. I appreciate it. I know this is about the French language. Jean-François Roberge, who's the minister, of course, of the French language and immigration, introduces a bill, and I just want to read to you the first sentence, which is, it is focused on interculturalism, I almost said multiculturalism, focused on interculturalism and the integration of newcomers, which will require immigrants to adopt shared values such as gender equality, secularism, and the protection of the French language. Now, I get the part about the protection of the French language. That's always in policies set forth by the government. If you're an immigrant, so you're an immigration lawyer, you're an immigrant coming here. You think, I want to come to Canada, and then so you should go to Quebec. When you decide to make that move, what sort of a, for lack of a better word, of a test do you have to take before you know that when you come here, if you're coming from a country where, I don't know, it's even not a democracy, or where women and men do not have equal rights, don't you find all that out before you come here?
You do. And my clients, in the very vast majority, they do. They don't come here to change our society. They come here to adapt. It sends a clear message, but it also sends a confusing message. Because when people come here, they want to adapt. The first thing that they want to do is they want to make friends with Quebecers. But the question is it for the state to legislate on call? Because this is a very wide bill. It's a small bill, 28 articles only, but it's a very wide bill. And for the government to try and legislate on something that is so intangible as culture, it'll be very interesting to see how it translates into policies and regulations, because this is just a bill, right? So the bill will be passed, and then they will have to get into the granular details with regulations and policies.
Which makes you wonder, once it's a law, if that's what we're going to call it, what are you legislating here exactly? I mean, someone comes here from a foreign country as an immigrant. Yeah. You know it's a French-speaking province, right? You know that before you come here. You know that secularism is one of the parts of Quebec culture. You have to accept that, or at least you have to say you accept it when you come here. You know about the difference between men and women. There is no difference. We all have equal rights. I don't understand what the province is trying to do. And I know there have been situations here in the past where that's come into question. We talk about Bedford School and what people were doing and learning over there. But is this is this enforceable?
I mean, yeah. You put your finger on it. What I read in the Act, I'm a lawyer, so I'm going to look at the granular of the Act. What it says in the Act is that French is the main vehicle of the Quebec culture. Now, we have one of the best public artwork in Montreal. We have the picture of Leonard Cohen. He didn't use French as a vehicle for his culture. Are we saying that Leonard Cohen does not translate into Quebec culture? I don't agree with that. Arcade Fire is French. It does not use French as a language. I'll even go further. Lord Stanley, the Stanley Cup is named after Lord Stanley. He lived in Gaspésie. Was he speaking French? He wasn't. So there's a confusing message that we're sending both to the Quebec population and also to the new immigrants. What is this about?
So you're dealing with immigrants all the time, planning to come here. What's the first question they ask you?
They don't ask me questions about these things. We're talking to ourselves with this act. It does provide the government with an ability to fund cultural events that will be more focused on French language rather than an Arabic focused event where they don't integrate French language. That's how I can see it translate into real life. Now, let's hope that it doesn't polarize the population, because the potential for that is very real. Right now, I think we have peace in our society. There may be some flare-ups like the Bedford School, but those are flare-ups, and I think they were addressed properly and quickly. We have the tools to do that.
That said, do you think then, you give that an example of, an isolated case. Are we overreacting here with something like this?
I think that there's a lot of political message that the CAQ has started to convey over the past 2 years because they were losing ground to the PQ. That's the foundation of those new policies that we're not in, that this was not the direction of the CAQ government in 2020-21. It started in 22, including the new policy on immigration where it's francophone.
Right.
And to the detriment of businesses who want to attract temporary foreign workers who don't necessarily speak French, but they're including also foreign students.
How does this affect them? I mean, the temporary foreign workers issue has been a big one.
And it currently is, and the foreign students as well. Foreign students right now are looking elsewhere rather than coming to Quebec. So now we, with all due respect to the students that are here and will come here next September, I think that we're going to increasingly have a Class B type of students. We're still going to have foreign students, but we may not get the A students because they have a lot of choices. They can go to Australia, the UK, and elsewhere.
Sylvia Martin Laforge is the Director General of the Quebec Community Groups Network. We've spoken before. She's on the line. Sylvia, thanks for listening in. So you've heard what we're talking about. What's your concern in this new bill?
Well, I have some of the same concerns as I'm sorry,
Patrice. Patrice Brunet.
As Patrice. The vagueness of the bill is really a consideration. They shouldn't have passed this bill without more consultation. In fact, this bill is not unanimous, far from being unanimous, even with folks who were there when René Lévesque passed Bill 101. There have been letters, public letters in Le Devoir by Louise Arel, Louise Baudouin, and many others who have said that this bill does nothing to help le vivre ensemble of Quebecers. And goes against some very foundational things of a welcoming Quebec. This is a problem for immigrants. It's a problem for people who are already in Quebec. For example, the English-speaking community, who has been here for centuries.
As I hear you say that, and as I hear Patrice explain, this situation kind of, in a sense, you're both saying the same thing. It's fixing a problem that really doesn't exist, or at least doesn't exist to a point where we need a bill like this to be introduced to deal with it. And I get that. I wonder, Patrice, from your point of view, are you seeing less people now interested in coming to Quebec? Are you actually seeing a fall off?
Not necessarily. We're still going to get a lot more people wanting to come in than those who do qualify. But there's a lot of confusion. We've been extremely busy over the past few months with people, companies trying to hire foreign workers, and also individuals wanting to come here or to stay here or renew their status, because everything is very, very confusing. Yeah. And even the message about the renewal of work permits next year requiring possibly some component of French language. I mean, if you're an AI professional and you're a temporary foreign worker, do we want to develop AI? I think the answer is yes. Those people don't necessarily speak French. Do they have time to learn French within a year? Probably not. Do we want them to go back to their country? No. We want them to stay here.
And to the government's point, couldn't they learn French in 1 year? Certainly not to the level that the government thinks is good enough.
They already work 70, 80 hours a week, because they're developing AI. They don't work 9 to 5 and then they have 3 hours at night to learn French.
Oh, Sylvia, are you still there? I think we lost
Sylvia. I am. For some reason. No. I don't know. No, yes, I am here.
Okay.
I wanted to jump in and to say that this bill is part of a suite of other legislation, including Bill 96, Bill 21, some of which, both of those, who are wrapped around in the notwithstanding clause. This government is working towards a constitution for Quebec, right? And so this bill is just another pillar around what they would like Quebec to look like, within the foreseeable future. And so we have to really consider it as the approach that the CAQ is taking to transform Quebec in what they want it to be.
Yeah, and I think that's become clearer, certainly, day by day, month by month. And to Patrice's point about, let's face it, everything is political, it seems, even more so now than it has been before, because this party is flagging. It's losing support. So what does it do? It falls back on what it's always done before to try to get support, at least in the regions, and that's introduce things like this, which will make people go, oh, great idea, when in fact it doesn't look like, or doesn't seem like to me, Patrice, it changes a whole lot, not for people interested in coming here.
You know what, Aaron, if the CAQ wanted to take some real measures to protect the culture, our culture, they could act right away without legislating. They could act right away and fund properly the film and television industry that's been lagging because of lack of funding and decreasing funding, and that's the best way to promote our culture in Quebec. Sure. That's the best way.
That's a fair point. I wish we had more time. Sylvia, thank you so much. Patrice, thank you so much for coming in.